Hello there. This session is going to be a Q&A, question and answer session on studying with the Open University. So I'd like to welcome everyone who's been able to join us today. This session is really to let anyone who's got any questions about Open University study be able to ask. And we've got a panel of experts with us today. So I'll do a few introductions. So my name is Maggie Bates. I'm a senior manager for widening access with the Open University in Ireland. And we also have joined us today Rochelle Thompson, who's a senior advisor in our student support team. And Rochelle would deal with a lot of queries around sort of course choice, advice on sort of study options and for students who maybe need a little bit of support while they're studying. And we also have Emma Duff with us today, who's an advisor in our student support recruitment team. And Emma would deal with a lot of queries around sort of fees and registration and things like that. And then last but definitely not least is Christine Edgar. She is actually an OU graduate, so she knows firsthand exactly what Open University study is all about and, you know, the ups and downs and everything else in between. So we're your panel here today, so feel free to ask questions either via the chat box or by just speaking up. I will say before we begin, this session is being recorded, so just to be mindful of that. So if anyone wants to ask questions, please feel free. I do have some questions that we get asked quite often, which I will go through depending on what people ask during the session, just to make sure you get the information you need. So does anybody have any questions to begin with? Everyone feeling a little bit shy, possibly. That's understandable. So, I mean, what we can do is I will start with the question we get asked all the time, basically, which is, how does distance learning work? The Open University is a distance learning institution. And although I think a lot of people have heard of the Open University, people sometimes aren't quite sure about how distance learning actually works. So does one of our panelist members want to sort of lead with that question? Can you hear me okay? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you okay, Maggie.
Yes.
Oh, brilliant. Maggie. So who am I going to pick on? Let me see. Rochelle, do you want to just do a wee overview of how distance learning works?
I had a feeling that you were going to pick me, Maggie.
I had to pick on someone.
Which is why I had just this very moment put my mic on mute. So
You're
I thought,
woman.
okay, okay. Hi, everybody. First of all, my name is Rochelle Thompson. I work in the learner support side of things in the Belfast office. And essentially what we do is provide on-course support for people. Now, distance learning, essentially distance learning is very much where you as the student base yourself at home and you study with the Open University. You can obviously build your study life around your work life and your personal life, and that is why it is extremely attractive to a lot of people in Northern Ireland, and it's also very, very flexible. You will be allocated to a tutor who you can contact for any academic queries that you have, and you will also have an individual online study portal that's called a student homepage that you would be expected to log on to every day.
That's brilliant, Rochelle. That's really useful. And Christine, would you maybe give a wee bit of perspective, I suppose, on the coalface side of things, distance learning and how it works, if you wouldn't mind?
Well, coming as a student perspective, I studied over 6 years and studied part-time. I didn't really have great IT skills when I began my course. I took an open course, which meant that I chose a lot of different subjects. I didn't specialize in any one subject. So on each module, I was allocated a tutor at the beginning. And like Rochelle said, I was able to log on to my homepage. Now, the IT support for me was very important, getting me across that first few months of learning to find my way around how to navigate the system. The IT support was terrific. Once I navigated the system, I knew that I had a calendar that I could follow. I had regular updates from my tutor, that I had forums that I could access, that my assessment could be done online, that I could submit my work online, all my assignments online. And once I got into a pattern, after probably 3 assignments, I was good to go. So working from home for me was essential. I didn't have any other way to do it. And I suppose at the moment, with the way situations are, working from home and studying from home is very opportune at the minute. So for me, going to a brick building wasn't possible, but this made study possible, and it made it very accessible at the times that I was ready to study. So for me, it couldn't happen any other way. So it was very good. Thank you.
That's brilliant, Christine. I think it's so invaluable having the perspective of an actual student, because we can sort of break it down to you study online, you log on to your module website, where you get materials and things like that. But I think it's only when you are a student you kind of really understand how it actually all comes together, and it can seem quite baffling, I think, at first when people start on their journey as students with us. And there are the support mechanisms in place. Like Christine said, we do have IT support, we have library support, you have your student support team who you can always contact if you are maybe a little bit unsure. I think it's really good that Christine's mentioned IT, because we like to be as honest as possible to prospective students, and there's no getting away from the fact that to study with us you do need to have some sort of access to both internet and a computer, but that's not to say everyone who starts studying with us are experts. We have people who come to us with hardly any kind of digital skills, and by the end of 6 years you're nearly an expert, I would say, and I've studied myself and I've definitely learned during my studies. So that's brilliant. Does anybody have any questions, or anyone who's joining us have anything they want to ask? I'm trying to keep a wee eye on the all right, okay, I can see 2 questions there have come up. So Elaine has asked, apologies for only just saying these questions. I think I was looking at the wrong chat box. Elaine Doherty's asked, hi, is it possible to do a distance learning PhD? We do, the Open University does run PhD programs, so you can do a distance learning PhD. They're actually quite well set up for that. We do have a PhD department in Milton Keynes who deals with those kind of queries. Rochelle, I don't know if you would have any more information on that. I know you tend to have to contact the discipline you're interested in. So let's say you're interested in social sciences, you tend to have to actually contact the social science, the professor sort of in charge of that area. Rochelle, did you have anything to add to that?
Yes, Maggie, I'm going to type a little response for Elaine. Yes, there are various research areas that are available to people. Elaine, what I would say to you is, whilst it is possible, please bear in mind that certainly for these sort of intensive research doctorates, you would need to base yourself in Milton Keynes for a certain amount of time. It's simply because you may need access to labs, etc., or various other curriculum-based things that you simply just need to be based there for, So that would be the one thing I would say to you. There is a research centre, and there's also a research degree prospectus. I'm going to type up the number in this little chat box, Elaine, for you for the research centre, and you can give them a little call. Is that okay?
Thanks so much for that, Rochelle, and apologies again, Elaine. And the next question is from Leanne. Do you think people will be more open to try distance learning now after the COVID-19 and lockdown restrictions have forced us to work more remotely? It's an interesting one, Leanne, because we're obviously looking at our student numbers at the moment. Our next start for courses is October. And we haven't seen a massive rise. I think we're actually sort of just getting on target now. But I certainly think we've seen a real sharp rise in people accessing OpenLearn, which is where you can basically try free courses from the Open University. It's a really good resource. And the numbers on that have been phenomenal. And I think there was a young lad, Tiernan, I think his name was, from Northern Ireland, I think he's from Northern Ireland. If he's not, I do apologise, but he's done over, I think, 10 OpenLearn courses, and he's only sort of in his teens. So I certainly think people who maybe would never have accessed free resources like that are doing so. But I also think it will be interesting, because I do think if this lockdown, if the restrictions are obviously going to continue in some form, you know, into the autumn, I think people will start possibly looking at distance learning, not just with us, you know, but it's an interesting space for us to be in, to be honest. So thanks for your question, Leanne, that's great. Did anybody else want to add anything to that question of Leanne's? Okay, right, I'm just mindful of time. So now that I know how to find a Q&A box, it's all a bit of a learning curve, this, isn't it? Believe it, oh, we're done.
I was actually just thinking that myself, Maggie. Once you kind of navigate around everything, but it's thankfully it's okay.
It is. I've managed to stop sharing my screen though, which is right. Here we go, back to it again. So the next question we have, which again, you know, is something we get asked quite often, is what kind of person studies with the OU? Sounds like a bit of a loaded question, but it's not really. So who should we pick on this time? Well, Rochelle, what would you say about what kind of person studies with the Open University?
I was going to say that would be a good one for Christine, but anyway, not to worry. Listen, the Open University, you know, basically our ethos, our mission, if you like, is that we're open to places, people, methods, and ideas. So, you know, we're open to everybody. We're open to all. We are increasingly finding that at the moment now, maybe with the ongoing situation with COVID, there may be furloughed workers who are applying to do courses. We are increasingly getting a lot of younger students coming on. I'm sure you read the lovely little story about the young lad who completed, I think it was 11 Open Learned courses, which was lovely. So we are getting, you know, more and more a variety of people, but it's open to everybody. There's no type. There is no OU type sort of thing.
Yeah, and I think actually you're right, Rochelle. Christine, what would you say about that having been one of those, you know, numbers of our students?
I would say, you know, everyone welcome. You know, and that's exactly how I felt welcome. I was saying to my mum, a quick chat with my mum before I began, and I said, oh, Mummy, you know, I'm only returning to study, you know, I'll be almost 50 when I qualify. And she said to me, Christine, you'll be almost 50 anyway, you might as well have your degree. You know, I would say I felt as an older student extremely welcome. So here I am, I am 50 now, and qualified, and you know, it's as much for me as it is, you know, and I also have a long-term health condition, which I used to describe as a disability. It is no longer, you know, it has become my strength and my resilience, and I would say everyone and anyone, all welcome. Thank you.
I couldn't have really summed it up better myself, really. I think, you know, I would completely agree. You know, I think the Open University perhaps 20, 30 years ago was seen maybe a little bit aimed at sort of leisure learners, people that maybe who were retired and had a bit of time. But I think, especially now in the current climate, it is really for everyone. Anyone who really wants to either learn something new, prove something to themselves, like Christine said, you know, actually aim to have completed qualification by a certain point, or even just, we have people who just do, you know, one-off modules just to learn something new. So it really is for everyone. So that's brilliant. Thank you so much.
Christine, just to say as well, and I know Maggie will certainly agree with me on this one, just myself from working in the learner support team, I can absolutely assure you and everyone, we have students in their 80s plus. So honestly, everyone is welcome, and do not be put off by the technology. It really is a good thing for everyone.
I agree.
So the next question obviously is very relevant to people who are perhaps looking at the Open University, is what can I actually study? I mean, obviously we won't be able to go through every single course that we offer, but I didn't know, you know, perhaps Emma, would that be something that you'd want to maybe talk a little bit about, the kind of things that we offer, or Rochelle, whoever felt they wanted to chip in?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's so wide ranging because you can start with just an access module, which isn't in itself a qualification, but it is aimed at sort of introducing you to how the OU works, and it goes all the way up to postgraduate and as we were saying earlier, PhD level study. Most of our students would be undergraduate students, but we do have postgrad as well, and there's a range of faculties. So again, it's a really difficult one to pinpoint because there's such a wide range of options, but the website's really good because you can search by subject area. So if you have an idea of what you're interested in, you can go into that and look at the range of courses within that area. And again, OpenLearn's really, really helpful for that as well when you're just trying to pinpoint exactly what it is you're interested in and what direction you want to go.
That's great. I'm not sure if people can see. I've tried to share the part of our website which lists the courses that we do by subject. Can everyone see that okay? Hello?
No, the slide that I can see, Maggie, is how much does it cost?
Oh, right, okay. Oh, well, okay. Best laid plans and all that. So not to worry. I mean, that's a good one to move on to anyway, because I am mindful of time. So, Open University study, obviously it does cost. I mean, if you wanted to do anything for free, our OpenLearn courses are an ideal place to start because they are completely free. But when it comes to actually studying with the OU, it does cost. But what you will find is that our fees are, I suppose, a lot cheaper maybe than other universities, and there is sort of different funding options. So Emma, did you want to maybe just cover a little bit about sort of our fees and our funding?
Yeah, absolutely. So just to give you a really quick overview, Open University fees are paid on a module by module basis, so you don't have to pay for your whole qualification up front. And as we were saying earlier, a qualification is made up of a series of modules, and each one has an individual fee, so that would be your total cost at the end. So if one 60 credit module, which is what most students would do in a year, is £1,032, which is the average price, the typical cost of a 60 credit module. Your whole undergraduate degree, if you're doing an honours degree, would be just over £6,000. So it is substantially less than most other universities. There's a few different ways you can pay that. If you want me to just run through those now, Maggie.
Yeah, maybe just briefly, and then we could obviously maybe add a link to the chat screen.
Yeah, so I think the main option for most students would be to pay using student finance. With student finance, you can apply for a tuition fee loan or a tuition fee grant, and a grant is means tested. So if you're earning less, or if your household income is less than £25,000 a year, chances are you'll be eligible for some sort of grant which is non-repayable, and the rest you can pay for the rest using a tuition fee loan. So that's a really popular option. The other option, if you're not eligible for student finance for whatever reason and you want to self-fund, there is a pay monthly option. So you can take out a loan with the Open University student budget account, and it does have an interest rate. It's about 5%, but it is a really popular option for people who don't want to get into sort of student debt. And then more obvious options would be paying yourself with a credit or debit card, which you can do online if that's an option for you. And there's also the option of sponsorship. If you're lucky enough to have an employer who's willing to contribute to your fees, we can send out sponsorship forms and invoice them directly for payment. So that's just a really quick overview of the options. There is a really handy tool on the website. It's called the Finance Finder tool on the Open University website, and it allows you to put in your own details, and it'll give you a list of options based on your unique circumstances, and you can sort of weigh up what the best one is for you. So that's definitely something to look at if you're still weighing up your options.
That's brilliant, Emma. I know it's a lot to cover all in such a sort of brief little snapshot, but I think the main thing to say is that we really are kind of affordable, and the funding options, I think, I would say a large percentage of our students make use of those funding options through Student Finance Northern Ireland. So it's quite useful to know that. So
Maggie, just if anyone is interested in perhaps doing a little preparatory course, or if they are thinking about the OU, the OpenLearn modules are free. and they would be a great way for people just to have a little look at what's available through the Open University and at no expense to themselves.
That's great, Rochelle. Yeah, Open Learn is fantastic, and you're not committing to anything, which I think is, I think is really appealing. So yeah, that's a really good point, Rochelle. The next question, which we get asked quite often, is what are the benefits of Open University study? And I think I'd probably throw that over to Christine. Again, she's best placed really to answer that.
Well, just on the last point, Maggie, I would absolutely recommend try this on the Open Learn. I did what was known as a 15 credit access course, and it gives you a taste exactly for what you're kind of signing up to, and it gives you. I mean, it's a lovely homepage to go on to, and Open Learn is a lovely feel to it, and it shows you how accessible it is, to access your study. The benefits for me, I mean, it has literally changed my life. It has changed my earning capacity. It has given me the understanding of what resilience I actually have. Now, I would describe myself as a self-starter, someone who doesn't need, to be told what to do, when to do, and that, who can plan ahead. My ability to use IT has, that has been life-changing as well. I mean, you learn just as much from the IT and from the other students as you do from your tutors, when you're learning with Open University. But, it is what you want from it. And I think even when you were talking about paying module by module, I mean, I was always aware of the fact that there was no race, that I could have done this in 6 years, I could have done it in 10 years or whatever, at my pace, and achieved basically what I wanted. I could have stopped at any time. And if it's a module or 2 modules or study for interest that you want from it, absolutely go ahead. For me, I kept saying, I'll see how this module takes me, and it took me the full 6 years. That may not be for everyone. Some people may go into a postgrad. You will benefit from it immensely because of the challenges you face within the study. But I would say you're going to get out of it what you put into it, and you will achieve what you want to, I think, if you put your mind to it.
That's perfect, Christine. I think we probably need to wrap up now, actually. I think we might have slightly gone over our 20 minutes. So I just want to make sure that we haven't missed any questions. Has anyone got any questions that they want to ask, or is everyone happy enough? Okay. I mean, obviously, you can find all the information about how to contact for information advice if you want to ring up our student recruitment fees team and have a conversation about, their options, then you certainly can do. All of that information is available on our website. I put some useful links there as well. But certainly, if you want any more information, it's probably possibly something we could maybe add at the end of the sessions and put some information on. So I'd just like to thank you all for your time, especially our panel, Christine, Rochelle, Emma. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been really, really useful, I hope. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.